Good morning, Breakfast Club. Let's go. Shantae Moore, good morning. My brother Damon, Dr. Davidson, Miss Sharina, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Let's go, TBC. Let's get it. Dr. Lyles, what's happening? The Lit Podcast is in the house. Kiera, what's going on? Good morning, good morning, good morning. Wherever you watching from, welcome to the Breakfast Club. That's right, Wanda, let's go. We're going to give everybody just a couple more seconds, and then we're going to get in here and get it done. Good morning, grab your coffee, grab your biscuits, grab your muffins, your croissants. If you're getting ready to leave the house and you got children, grab your kids. Don't leave them. Take them with you. I love it. I love it. I love it. Good morning. Good morning. We got people watching on Facebook. We got people watching from StreamYard. We got people watching on YouTube. Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning again, Breakfast Club. Y'all can see I'm excited, man. I am fired up this morning. I'm ready to get in here and get some work done this morning, man. Appreciate you all coming and hanging out with me this morning on this bright and beautiful Tuesday morning in the summertime in Georgia. Y'all already know how we do it. It's probably a little warm out already, so we hitting that time of the year. We hitting that time of the summer where that heat gonna start setting in a little bit. So when we get a cool morning here and there, we need to make sure that we get out, enjoy it, get some fresh air, man. Catch that sunrise, man. And let's make sure that we spend time. And this is totally off what I'm going to talk about today. But then again, it does relate a little bit. Let's make sure we always, y'all, spend time to just enjoy everything that's around us, man, to enjoy life, man. You know, God has placed us here, you know, for a purpose, for a reason. And let's make sure that we spend time just enjoying it, just taking it all in, just being in amazement, right? Because when you think about it, it truly is amazing, right? How everything works. It truly is amazing. So I've been up and I've been reflecting this morning, and there was a teeny tiny little bit of a shift in what I'm gonna talk about today. but we're going to crack into this June series. So to everybody that's watching live, to everybody that's going to watch the replay, like I always say, whether you're going to watch the replay later on today or whether you're going to watch it 15 years from now, a big God bless you. And thank you for joining us here in the Breakfast Club, man. We are so glad to have you. Y'all do me a favor before we get started. Whatever platform you watching on, man, hit that like and hit that share button. Send it to somebody, a family member, friends, friend of me, cousin, uncle them, whatever. Let's make sure that we share and we get the Breakfast Club out. And let's make sure we don't keep it all to ourselves, all right? Because y'all know how we do. We come in, we talk about some good stuff, man. We have a good time. We laugh and cut up and do all of that. But we want to make sure that we share the love. We want to make sure that we are doing as much as we can to help people feel inspired, empowered, encouraged, to make those necessary moves and transformations in their life. And so we're going to dig in this morning and we're going to start our June series. And this series is entitled Stop Quitting. Now, I use that term June series loosely because as all of this was kind of coming together, I don't know how long we're gonna be on this, because there's a lot that God has really downloaded to me, about this particular area and this particular subject. So I say June, but man, we might go on through the summer. I don't know what's gonna happen, but this theme each week for the next several weeks is gonna be around helping us to stop quitting. So this past Saturday, we did Reset Foundation. Some of you may have gone through it and you know it as Reset Boot Camp. So some fresh content, a fresh look, a little bit of a rebrand, changed the name up a little bit, but man, it was still just as powerful. Let me tell you something. And we cracked over in something, man. We busted devil clean upside the head, busted to the white meat, and we burst some stuff out, and we pushed some people, we encouraged, we supported, and it was awesome. And one of the things that we talked about was our ability to start and moving to that place where we finish things, right? And I almost started talking about this on Saturday, and I had to restrain myself because I knew I was going to come back in the Breakfast Club and we were going to break this down into smaller pieces and really dig into this. So we talk about starting, we talk about finishing, but rarely do we ever talk about what happens in the middle. And what happens in the middle is that place, and that is where we have to wrestle. This is where we have to encounter. This is where we have to overcome that thing called quitting. Because if you don't ever start, then you can't quit. But if you quit, then you can't finish. And so quitting is right in the middle of starting and finishing. So we start things well often. Our issue becomes we don't finish things well. And often, if we are honest, we don't finish things well because we quit somewhere in the middle. And so I feel like we got to pull up here and we got to deal with this idea and this mountain, this thing called quitting. And so this series is called Stop Quitting. And I'm excited, because I know there have been some things in my life that I should have ran a little bit longer. I should have stuck in there a little bit longer. Some things that I started and then I put down. I came back to them later on, but what would have happened? How could I have accelerated myself? How could I have accelerated the results that I got had I just stuck with it? One of the things that I know about the Bible, nowhere in the Bible does it tell anybody to stop, tell anybody to quit, right? It's God talks so much about not being fearful, running with patience, exercising endurance, and all of those things. And so we're going to take that same thing and we're going to unpack this piece by piece, because I believe there are several reasons that we often quit and give up on things prematurely. And so I want to explore these. I want to wrap some Bible around them. And I want to dig into some of these over the next several weeks, where we have a clear understanding that we can run, we can make it, we can endure, we can press our way through, we can accomplish it, we can achieve it. Why? Because God said that we are. Y'all, we have a mandate for productivity. He created us to be impactful. We talked about that in Foundations on Saturday. What is the impact that we want to have? If the impact of the thing that you're doing is only related to you, then you are missing the power of impact, because impact always impacts a radius. Glory to the Son of God. It always impacts a radius. And so there are some things around it that are affected by what has happened. And so if it only affects you, then I need you to go back and revisit. And if you happen to be that person that starts things well, you start 4 or 5 projects, and one of the easy examples that I can use is that you have people that will pick up this book, they'll pick up that book. Ooh, I like this title, that title. I like this author, that author. They wrote a new book or whatever, and their intention is good. And so they start off and they have, all of these books or whatever, and they start this one, they start this. So they actually start reading all of them, but they don't ever finish any of them. At some point they quit, they give up, they don't go back, they put it down. And so we want to build ourselves up where we can run, but we can run with wisdom, we can run with a plan, we can run with strategy. And so let's get into it. All right, so today I'm going to go ahead and give you the subject up front. I usually don't do that, but I'm going to go ahead and give it to you anyway. Today is simply going to be titled this: Running When I Want to Quit. Running when I want to quit. Running when I want to quit. Because let's be honest, sometimes it's not the starting to run is not the issue. It's the fact that when we get into it, that's when that thing kick in and we want to quit. So running when we want to quit. That's what we are going to deal with this morning. Running when I want to quit. Running when I want to quit. Running when I want to quit. And this is going to be the subject, or this is going to be the text that we are going to come from. This is going to be the text that we're going to come from. And it is 1 Corinthians chapter 9. 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verses 24 through 27. So 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verses 24 through 27. This is my man, Paul. And Paul has a lot to say, and I'm going to explain some of this here shortly, but I want to read this text to you. I think this morning I'm going to read this to y'all in the New Living Translation. Y'all know that's my version. That's my go-to. Let's read this in the New Living. So 1 Corinthians 9, 24 through 27. This is what it said. Don't you realize that in a race, everyone runs? That's the first thing that you need to understand, y'all. Everybody is running. We all doing this. We all pressing. We all running. We all in here. So don't think ever for a second that you running by yourself. Glory to the Son of Man, that you running by yourself. We all running. Don't you realize that in a race, everybody's running? However, but only one person gets the prize. So run to win. Here's the second thing. Now, if you're going to run, I need you to run like you're trying to accomplish something. I need you to run like you're trying to get something done. I need you to run like you want to get to the finish line. I need you to run like your intent is to win. Y'all, it's time out for us doing stuff just cause, doing stuff just cause somebody else doing it, doing stuff just because it seemed like a good idea at the time. But if you're gonna run, let's run. Let's stop playing with it and let's run. All athletes are disciplined in their training. We're going to get to that in a minute, that discipline thing. All athletes are disciplined in their training. They do it to win a prize that will fade away, but we do it for an eternal prize. See, we know as faith peoples, as Christians, as God chasers, we know that there's an eternal prize. However, I need you to understand and remember that there are some things for us to do, some things for us to cause to happen, some things for us to birth here in the earth. So in other words, like we always say here in the Breakfast Club, you got work to do. I got work to do. And so they do it to win a prize that will fade away, but we do it for an eternal prize. Watch this. Here's the key where we're going to pull up. So I run with purpose in every step. I am not just shadow boxing. I discipline my body like an athlete, training it to do what it should. Otherwise, I fear that after preaching to others, I myself might be disqualified. I want to pull up on verse 26 because that verse 26, so I run with purpose in every step. We can be running and not be purposeful about what we're doing. We can go in the gym physically and train and not have a purpose. We don't have a plan. We don't have a strategy. And then we wonder why we don't get the results that we want to get. Paul uses an athletic analogy, I believe, because he knows that this is something that people can identify with. I think many of us can identify with this athletic analogy and him putting it in these terms and how all of us are running a race, how all athletes, notice how that word all keeps coming up, how all athletes have to employ self-discipline. And then he switches it and he says, and I run with purpose every step. Paul knows that in this particular environment, this whole idea of Christianity, let me give you some history. So this whole idea of Christianity is new. Paul is writing to the church in Corinth. Corinth is, for all intents and purposes, a new church. And this is a very straightforward, straight with no chaser letter to the church. Corinth was a major city. They had a lot going on. They had a lot of resources. They were full of things and activity. It was a hub. It was on the ocean. It was a lot of hustle and bustle that was going on in Corinth. However, Corinth had a problem. Now, y'all know when Paul started writing epistles or letters in the New Testament, normally that was something that he was trying to address. And so in this one, this ain't no different. There was a lot going on. There was a lot of idolatry and there was a lot of immorality. There were a lot of things that could be categorized as self-satisfying behavior. So it makes sense to me that Paul would spend time talking about how we run out our faith, because even for him, this faith walk was new. Just back in Acts is when Paul was converted from Saul, where he had this major encounter with Jesus on the road to Damascus, and he goes through this transformation. So now there's a new life that he's running. Oh, I wonder if there is somebody that can identify with me, that there is a point in your life where there was a shift, where something happened, where you had an encounter, where your mindset began to change, where the things that were important to you all of a sudden shifted. Once upon a time, maybe it was cars and houses and clothes, and all of a sudden one day you woke up and you realize all of that stuff really does not mean anything. All of that stuff is really not as important to me as I thought it was once upon a time. And so now you begin to pick up the pace. You begin to gain interest in other things. Now, once upon a time, it was all about you, but now it's all about serving others. You find yourself volunteering. You find yourself in the community. You find yourself speaking to strangers, because once upon a time, you were antisocial, but now all of a sudden you turn into a social butterfly, and you can't now. It's all because now you are running a different race. It's because you're running a different race now, because your priorities, your priorities have shifted. Your focus has shifted. God done got a hold of you, and he has began to put a new thing, a new seed, a new burden in your heart, and that now has become the race that you're running. And so Paul, just like them, he can identify with what they're going through, because this faith thing, watch this, in here, in who he's talking to in this church, it was a bunch of Gentiles. So it was a bunch of people that initially, there are still people that believe the gospel wasn't even for them in the first place, that Jesus wasn't even for them in the first place. And so these are people that are living a different lifestyle that is counterintuitive to everything that they've known up to this point. And so this is why he is writing this. This is why he's saying this, because he can identify with what they're going through. And so he hones in on a principle that is actually counterintuitive, and it makes so much sense, because Paul, if you know anything about him, he was a disruptor. Everywhere that he went, he was upsetting the status quo. He was breaking down systems. And so in a society that was all about self-satisfaction, self-gratification, you got to get yours and all of this, now he comes in and he starts talking about self-discipline. He starts talking about self-discipline because he says that all athletes are disciplined. They're all this. So he starts to talk about the discipline that it is going to take to run this race out. And it becomes a theme of enduring, a theme of working hard. Self-discipline causes you to need to prepare. Nobody just wakes up and runs a marathon. You have to prepare for it. Nobody just wakes up and decides they want to get a college degree. You have to prepare yourself. You have to go through classes. And you talk to anybody that has achieved a college degree of any sort, and they will tell you the biggest skill that they had to employ was self-discipline. They had to focus. They had to lean in. They had to do it when they didn't feel like doing it. And so this brings me to my theme this morning: running when I want to quit. And my question to you is what do we do when we're running, but we really want to stop? What do we do when we're running, and if we honest with ourselves, we tired? What do we do when we're running, but we really asking ourselves every step that we take, how much longer? What do we do when we running and we looking around? And I remember, back in the day, I ran a half marathon. I told y'all this before, with a good friend of mine. And I remember we would go on some Saturday mornings and we would run those long runs. We would run them on the Riverwalk. And me and him had this running joke, because when you running back toward the Riverwalk after you've gone out some miles or whatever, you see the different bridges and stuff like that. And me and him had this running joke that, man, somebody came and moved that bridge. That bridge was closer when we were going out. Now we know, but your mind starts to play tricks on you when you running. When you running, fatigue sets in when you running. And part of the thing is, y'all, we won't be honest that we're tired. We won't be honest that we're getting winded. I'm already in here already. I hope y'all taking notes, because I'm about to run smooth through here in a minute. But what do we do when we're running and we really want to stop? In the chat, if you've ever experienced this, or you ever felt like that, y'all just let me know that I'm not by myself. That at some point in your life, whatever it was you were working on, whatever it was you were doing, it was a good idea when you started. But at some point, you got in the middle of that thing and you were like, man, I don't know about this. I don't know about this. I don't know if I could do this. You started to question yourself. You started to doubt yourself. You started to ask yourself, is this worth it? Is this worth the time? Is this worth the investment? Is this worth the money I'm spending? Man, I know I said I wanted to get this education, but man, I'm spending money to get these letters behind my name. I don't know. So what do we do when we're running and we want to quit? I want to encourage you this morning, and I want to share a few things with you that you can do if that's you. If you feel like you are at that place where I want to quit, let me encourage you this morning and tell you, just wait. Just wait. Just hold on. Because what I need you to do and what I need us to understand this morning is running the race and being successful, y'all, is all about the steps. Yeah, the end goal is great, but it's all about the steps. Here's how I know, because in verse 26, he says, so I run with purpose. How and where? In every step. In every step. So that means that every step that I take is important. Every step that I take matters. Every day that I hang on and I press through, that's important. That's significant. And see, the enemy will like nothing better than for you to do the opposite of what it says in Zechariah. Zechariah says, despise not the day of small beginning. See, the devil wants you and I to despise, or he wants us to look down upon the steps that we have to take to get to the ultimate goal, to get to that high calling, to get to that place of purpose. See, if I can get you to lament that, then I can get you to quit. Because if you start to think about how far away it is, how long it's going to take, then I can get you to say, I don't know if it's worth it. And when that kind of mentality, when that kind of talk starts, now he can get in and he can get a foothold. So I need you to hold on. I need you just wait. I need you to hold what you got, because there's a way to run with purpose in every step. And I want to give you a few things really quickly to help you do just that. Number one, you got to walk. You may have to walk, but keep moving. And you're going to do it by acknowledging your limits. 2 Corinthians 5:7 says, so we walk by faith, for we walk by faith and not by sight. So the first thing that I need you to do is I've got to get you to understand that it's okay to walk. I can't tell y'all how many of those long runs we went on in training for that half marathon where I decided to walk. I'm actually prepping for a strongman contest now that's in August, and it's outside in the summertime in Alabama. I don't know if y'all know anything about the South. If you watch it, you don't live in the South, let me tell y'all something. It's hot in the South in August. And oh yeah, by the way, it's on the ocean. So the humidity is going to be ridiculous. I have not competed in strongman in a contest, y'all, in 4 years. The last one that I did was in the summer of 2018. In 19, I hurt my back. I told myself then I'm not going to do this anymore, because I always had in my head, rule number one, don't get injured. I got injured. So I said, we're going to pull up, we're going to do it. We're going to use it to train and to stay in shape and all of this stuff. And then I caught the bug again. And I said, you know, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm going to do it. And then COVID happened. The contest that I was planning to do was actually right before the quarantine came, and they had to cancel it. And then 21, and then 22. Nobody was doing any contests. And so now I'm like, well, wait, it's been 4 years. So I've wrestled with this on whether or not to try to do this. I can tell y'all the first 2 weeks of training, I'm just being transparent, y'all, I wanted to quit. I was sitting there thinking, man, listen, this seemed to be a whole lot easier 4 years ago. One thing that I had to tell myself is, well, you're 4 years older. There's a difference athletically from 46 to 50. And you got to give yourself some space and grace. But let me tell y'all something. I feel good now. I feel good. In the church, we would say, I feel my help coming. I feel my help coming. And so what I need you to do is know that it's okay to walk. There's been some workouts where I'm like, I can't do it. I ain't got it today. It's hot. I'm tired. I didn't sleep good. I haven't eaten enough, whatever the case is. But we press our way through, right? We press our way through. This is what Paul was saying when he said, this one thing I do, I press toward the mark. So I need you to know that it's okay to walk if you need to walk. I just need you to keep moving. And you're going to do that by acknowledging that you are human and you have limits. 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 I have limits. And it's okay to have limits. And so what you do is you adjust, you acknowledge those limits, and then you keep moving and you keep walking. Because what's going to happen is if you keep moving, eventually you're going to catch your second wind and you're going to be ready to run again. The second thing is you may have to overall slow the pace down. Hebrews 12:1 says, and this is just an excerpt, go back and read the whole thing. Hebrews 12:1 says, let us run with patience the race that is set before us. Run with patience. Patience is about pace. Patience is about pace. Let me say it again. Patience is about pace. So we have to pace ourselves. Anybody that's run, you know, you can't go out running full speed and expect to make it a long distance. That is not how that works. You're going to be tired and you're going to give out long before you ever reach your goal. And so even world-class runners, world-class athletes, they know, marathoners, people that do ultra marathon, they know there is a pace, and they usually break their pace down in miles. They'll say, okay, so I want to average, about 9 minutes a mile, 8 minutes a mile, whatever it is. But there comes a point when they get some distance, when they start to get some miles under their belt, 10, 11, 12, 13, they may have to push the brake a little bit and bring that pace back. Why? Because they're trying to conserve energy. One of the reasons why we start but we don't finish and we quit in the middle is because, hold on, let me come back on here so y'all can see me. One of the reasons that we start and we don't finish and we quit in the middle, y'all, is because we press too hard. We start off because motivation is what's got us started, and we did not have the underlying discipline habits to keep us going. Let me say that again. Motivation got you started, but you didn't have the underlying discipline habits to keep you going. You did not train properly. You did not prepare properly. And so you think that motivation is just enough to keep you going. And often it is not. It is not. We're going to come back and talk in another episode about that, about motivation and self-discipline. But we need those discipline habits. Everything that we do, y'all, is going to require a certain habit, a certain skill set, a certain mindset in order for us to press on. The next one is we need to focus on a point ahead. Proverbs 4:25 says, let your eyes look straight ahead. Fix your gaze directly before you. We need to find a point ahead of us, one that we can see clearly, one that is very specific, one that we can gauge or we can measure the distance to it, one that we know is attainable, is realistic, and then we fix our eyes on that. I know it seems counterintuitive to take your eyes off the long-term prize, but what I'm telling you is that there are wins along the way. We talked about this in Foundations. There are quick wins along the way that we need to use as benchmarks of progress. They signify that we have gotten to a certain level of success. No, we have not hit the ultimate goal. However, that is still something that we have to celebrate. That is something that we have to acknowledge, because Paul is talking about every step that he takes. He's acknowledging the fact every step that I take is important. And so I need you to understand that every step that you take is important. Maybe it's somebody that you know, or maybe it's somebody, or maybe you have dealt with some type of challenge. I hear the word addiction. Maybe it's an addiction, and people that are overcoming and they're pressing their way through, and they fighting that demon, they fighting that monster. They know and they understand the importance of every step that they take. And so I just want to encourage you this morning and tell you, take one step at a time. Take one step at a time. Focus on something ahead of you and take one step at a time, and then another, and then another, and then another, and then another. And before you know it, you run it. You got to stop waiting on want to. Because again, we walk by faith and not by sight. You have to stop waiting on want to. Because my friend says, if you waiting on want to, he ain't coming. We do things out of emotion. We react to things out of emotion. And then when the excitement is gone, we can't figure out why we don't want to. Well, I just got to tell you, stop waiting on want to, because he ain't coming. What you really should be waiting on, and what you really have to employ, is a disciplined approach. You need to have a plan. You need to have a strategy to accomplish what it is that you want to do. Want to is not enough. Now, is there a space for willpower? Absolutely. And I press toward the mark. So yeah, there is something that I gotta do. But Paul has some spiritual disciplines going on in his life, like prayer, like fasting. Can we talk about it? Like prayer, like fasting, like worship, like serving. He had like giving. He had some spiritual disciplines in his life that undergirded the press. So my question to you is, if you're pressing, what's undergirding your press? What disciplines, what habits are you employing? What skills are you using that help build the foundation for your press? I ain't gonna get off track. I ain't got the time this morning. Yes, Lord, I hear you. We gonna get it. And then the last one, find someone that can run with you. Y'all, one of my favorite verses in the last year or so has become Deuteronomy 22:10. Do not plow with an ox and a yoke, an ox and a donkey yoked together. It's so funny to me every time I read it. Do not plow with an ox and a donkey yoked together. You got to find somebody that can run with you, because this is going to be the person that's going to be able to talk you through. This is going to be the person that's going to be able to challenge you. This is going to be the person that's going to be able to help you get through. I'm running, but I really want to stop. I really want to quit. I don't know if this works. See, you got to be yoked to the right person, right? You got to be yoked to the right person. Let me say that again. Ooh, I felt that. You got to be yoked to the right person. And in Deuteronomy, they say you don't yoke together an ox and a donkey. Why? Number one, they are physically not the same size. They are not totally two different animals. Oxen are very strong. They are known for their brute strength and they're laser focused. Donkeys are known for being very stubborn. Everybody know that, right? Everybody know that. And so, but also ox can pull more than donkeys. So what's going to happen? Get a stubborn donkey that can't pull as much as this laser focused ox, and what happens is the ox ends up pulling not only the weight that they're pulling, but they end up pulling the donkey too. And so what'll happen is, if you unequally yoke and one is pulling out of step with the other, you end up pulling in a circle. It's the way, because yokes don't bend. Yokes are solid pieces of things. If you look one up, you'll see it. And what'll happen is they'll actually end up going in a circle. But what the other thing that's going to happen is the donkey going to end up being dragged. So now the ox is being harmed because now they pulling something that they should not be pulling. The donkey is being harmed because now the donkey is getting dragged. And so we don't yoke together ox and donkeys, but we yoke together ox and ox. So you got to find that person that can run with you. I love what it says, you know, in the creation story in Genesis, where God says that he, you know, it was not good for man to be alone, and so he created woman out of man. And we miss something because, y'all, we live in a society where we always talking about, you know, where, you know, I want to find somebody that's compatible. That ain't even what the Bible says. The Bible says suitable. Somebody that is suitable. If you read it in the Amplified Bible, it talks about suitable, and it gives some other expressions where basically what it's saying is that this is a person that complements them. And so suitability and compatibility, they ain't necessarily the same thing, but I ain't got the time. And so you got to find somebody that's suitable to run that race with you, that's suitable to go on that journey with you. And y'all, listen, y'all already know, like I do, I ain't got to tell y'all this, that ain't necessarily everybody. And so when we think about it, our circle is important. Our circle matters. Our circle is important, y'all. It matters. If we want to hit that goal, if we want to hit the mark, if we want to press toward the mark of the high calling, we got to have the right support system. All of those things go into us being able to continue to run when we want to quit. All right, y'all. I'm gonna stop right there. We already over time. we way past time this morning, but I had to come in and lay some foundation for where we're gonna go. So for the next several weeks, we're gonna be addressing things to help us continue to run and not quit, to run and not give up. And it's gonna challenge you. It is gonna make you think about some things. But remember, the goal is growth. And so if it helps us grow, if it helps us get better, if it helps us be more disciplined and more focused, then it's time well spent. All right, y'all. I'm out of here. Take care of yourself. Take care of your family. Come on and help me wrap this episode up. Y'all know how we gonna do it. You can't get strong unless you lift heavy stuff. Y'all be blessed. Be encouraged. See y'all next time.